This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Prime. In association with Micromax. Nothing like anything.
Hello and welcome to CNB. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Patankar. We've got the brand new BMW 3 Series GT with us on the program. Now you've seen the car in bits and snatches. We've got the detailed review coming up. This car recently drove in at the Auto Expo, and in fact just last week we got news that it's now being assembled at BMW's plant in Chennai as well. So that's coming up in just a bit. Another car that broke cover at the Auto Expo was the new facelift on the Skoda Superb. Let's get you that first at the top of the show. The Superb has been a success for Skoda in India, even as the segment it operates in has slowly dried up over the past 18 to 24 months. The Superb has appealed worldwide though, especially since its second generation came out in 2008. So the global facelift was due and broke cover in mid-2013. It's taken us a few months to get the car in India, and it debuted here at the Auto Expo in February. So being a facelift, of course, the changes are superficial. A more pronounced hood line, the all-new Skoda family grille, and what you're seeing also is daytime running lights. A little bit forced, perhaps, those LEDs. But then you know what? Everybody wants to do those right now. Buyers want them too. It is pretty sharply done. You also get turn indicators that have been done in LED. So I guess that's something new. The new Skoda logo does finally arrive on the Superb, and I have to say that new front grille does look a lot sharper. So those daytime running LEDs and the bi-xenon headlamps are only on the top end elegance trim. The car is available in a lower ambition trim, but both trims have dual front, side and curtain airbags standard. Inside, the car looks largely unchanged, though everything from the upholstery to dash and even the infotainment screen have been tweaked. The car's USP remains ample cabin space and good legroom, especially at the rear. Now the old Superb was a little bit bland at the rear. This one's gone completely J-Lo as far as the rear is concerned, because what you get is a much sharper looking boot. It's that tail light, again LEDs, 3 layers, looks really, really nice. Makes the car look a lot more upmarket as well, and definitely different from the rear. Skoda's function, that was a USP, the Combi Boot, which lets the car go from sedan to hatch, still very much on the Superb, but now you've got 2 different switches or 2 different touchpads to do the operation. You don't have to first touch one, then go ahead and open it like the earlier car. You want to go with the boot, just get the one in the middle. There you go. And if you want to go with the hatch, well, all you have to do is just hit the other touchpad down here, and there you go. Very simple and really convenient. The Combi Boot is indeed a great feature and is a valid USP that the Superb can still boast as unique. I'm not sure how many in India truly value it though. A glance at the engine options tells you that not much has changed. The 1.8 TSI has the option of a 6-speed manual or 7-speed DSG gearbox. The diesel is the familiar 2-litre, and this only has the 6-speed DSG gearbox, which works well, of course. The car is priced attractively enough, and which is why it remains a compelling buy. Prices for the manual petrol start at 18,62,000 rupees, and they go all the way up to just under 25 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi for the diesel automatic. Now, a few years ago when BMW did the GT version of the 5 Series, it looked a little incongruous and a little heavy at the rear. This time around, the roofline merges in very nicely with the boot, and the car looks like it was meant to be this way because yes, it was this time planned this way, and so which is why the rear, the hatch, does end up looking a lot more attractive than it did on the 5 Series GT, with a similar sort of functionality, of course. Bala had the chance to drive the car. Here are all the details on the GT.
BMW does believe that there is a market in India for cars like the GT, which is bigger, wider and taller. And a couple of things that will really connect with the Indian car buyer is that it's got more space on the inside due to the increased wheelbase. Also, it's got an extremely impressive boot.
Unveiled at the 2013 Geneva Motor Show last March, the Gran Turismo was primarily designed by BMW for markets like the US and Asia, where the touring station wagon model has zero traction. Positioned between the 3 and the 5 series, the GT has been designed to offer sedan-like superior driving dynamics and the space plus practicality of a tourer. At first glance, the 3 Series GT looks much more proportionate and attractive than the bulky 5 Series GT. Even the 3 Series sedan kinda pales in comparison. Notice the redesigned headlamps, the modified low bumpers and the trademark kidney grille. Aiding the aerodynamics of the car are the air curtains near the fog lamps and air breathers behind the front wheel. From the side, the GT looks really long and yet proportionate. The frameless doors too add a nice touch. The improved ground clearance is quite visible and the GT will get 18-inch tyres on the models headed to India. The rear does stand out a bit, but less like a sore thumb. But what you won't mind one bit is the active rear spoiler on the GT, which activates at speeds over 110 km per hour and can also be activated with a button on the driver's door when parked or in motion. When deployed at high speeds, the spoiler increases downforce on the rear axle and improves overall stability. The L-shaped rear lights stretch far into the sides of the car and the 2 integrated bars of LEDs look quite sharp.
One of the areas that really impresses about the GT is the amount of space that it has in the boot. The tailgate is electronically powered by the remote. Also in some models, you have the option where you just wave your feet and the sensor picks it up and opens the tailgate. I'm using the remote so far. And as you can see, this is about 512 liters of space available. And also what's going to get really impressive is these functionality elements that BMW has planted in the boot, just to get the rear seats folded. See, with these handles, it's quite easy to get those rear seats folded. And now you have about 1,600 liters of boot space, and that's plenty of space really. And the functionality again kicks in with things like this that you wonder, where do you keep them? Do you keep them back home? So BMW has offered space under the boot, which lets you slide this in. And so now you have a big boot.
BMW has launched only the luxury trim line in India, and the interiors of the GT are very similar to the 3 Series with a driver-focused layout. The overall fit and finish is as expected from BMW. The premium-looking wood trim helps that cause. The 16.5cm information display screen allows you to access the iDrive and BMW's other connected drive features. There are also plenty of storage compartments, especially some pretty large bins on the door. It's a very roomy cabin, with the India spec model even getting the panoramic glass sunroof to add to the sense of space.
Now the rear seat of the 3 Series GT is a really nice place to be in, especially as you've got plenty of leg room, about 70 millimeters more than the regular sedan. That's largely thanks to the increased wheelbase that resulted in more leg room here, almost as much as the 5 Series. Also, what really impresses are these rear seats. They can be reclined back. They're manually adjustable. That really makes you comfortable sitting here. But what really doesn't make you too comfortable is the headroom, which has really been cut off due to the sloping roof line. And especially for people who are really tall, that will be a botheration. And you're going to have on some models the sunroof, which is really going to impact that headroom here. Also, another thing that's going to bother is the person who's going to be sitting in the middle. There is a transmission tunnel right in the middle, so it's going to feel a little more cramped.
Living up to the promise of matching the well-recognized driving dynamics of the 3 Series is a tall order, and the GT was really going to struggle given its longer body and excess weight. This car has an additional curb weight of nearly 145 kilos compared to the sedan, but the GT lacks any extra horsepower. However, the 320i petrol variant we were driving didn't disappoint too much with the lack of power, 184 bhp to be precise, on offer to reduce the strain of the extra weight. The finely balanced weight distribution ratio of 50-50 and a precise electric power steering allows for a stable drive on the GT. It may not be as nimble as the sedan, but the GT does feel most comfortable at cruising speeds of over 100 km an hour with the X-Drive all-wheel drive. The car's handling has clearly been designed for long-distance comfort like the touring model, and we were impressed by how the GT handled sharp mountain bends without showing any signs of extra weight. Get on sports driving mode and the car feels more fun to drive, especially with the heavier steering, and it handles much better. The 6-speed gearbox in the GT shifts quick and smooth, but unfortunately India spec GT will only have the 8-speed transmission. The suspension feels just right without being too stiff, and with the improved ground clearance, the ride is solid and comfortable. On the highways and the smaller village roads around Madrid, we got to enjoy a solid and thud-free drive. BMW currently offers the GT in 5 engine variants in global markets, but it has launched only the popular diesel variant in India. This churns out a maximum power of 184 bhp and 380 Nm of torque is mated to an 8-speed transmission. The 3 Series GT is steep, folks. BMW has priced it at 42,75,000 rupees ex-showroom Delhi. Now, that's pretty close to the entry-level 5 Series sedan, which starts at 45,90,000 rupees. So, the GT is for those who like the extra space and comfort, but think value. And hey, the 3 Series GT certainly won't seem like a practical option now, will it?
Right, it is a tailgate that goes up to different levels, and that's something you can set using the menu. So here's one level. You can of course have it going up further and then all the way open as well. So different parts which you can actually program using the iDrive function inside, and then when you pop the tailgate open from the inside or out, it will open only to that level. So a little bit of a convenience factor perhaps for some people that might work better. It is an ample boot, of course, as you can see, and the tailgate is automated as you saw, and so to shut it, all you have to do is press that button. Right, the tailgate is closed, but our program is not still closed. We've got lots more coming up, and that means that we have a short break. We have to get past our sector snapshot as we slip into it, and I'll see you on the other side. Now time for the annual jamboree in the Rajasthan desert, the Mahindra Great Escape. As always, a lot of fun. Vikas Yogi and Ronak Shah were there and they have had quite a blast, I think.
Over nearly 2 decades, the Mahindra Great Escape has become India's largest non-competitive off-road rally. What started with a group of Mahindra in 1996 is now an annual affair for M&M. In fact, there are 6 editions of the Great Escape in different parts of India. But the annual one in Rajasthan is the big one, and this year the venue is Pushkar. This time, the Great Escape had women making up nearly half the participants. This was, in a sense, intentional, as M&M coincided the event with International Women's Day, which was in the same week. The 18th edition had just over 100 cars taking part, with everything from Boleros to Scorpios and Thars to Quantos. But yet again, no XUVs. Ronak and Vikas were assigned a red and rugged Thar. After a few kilometers on the tarmac, it was time to get off-road. Low gears and spinning wheels, and sand spraying in all directions. Fun! Steep climbs up the dunes and even steeper descents. Yep, it takes a leap of faith to keep going.
And the best part I liked about the track was that it was not intentionally done track. Yeah, we were allowed to drive the car, take it the way we wanted.
Like as we have bought it right now in between the track. This is not the proper track which we are following right now. Actually, I can tell you that. But it's certainly fun.
There was a tough route of Sirs to follow just so we don't get lost, but otherwise you could pretty much take any fine head-on. Besides understanding how to steer and how to use the four-wheel drive, the other big learning you get is how patience pays every time. As always, there was much revelry as the day wound down. Tiring yet fulfilling, the Great Escape is a must-do on the CNB calendar.
So the Mahindra Great Escape, always lots of fun. Now time for which car should I buy? Very relevant question coming in from Akash, who wants to know if the Terrano from Nissan is a better buy or the EcoSport from Ford. Now it used to be the Duster and the EcoSport. The Terrano and the Duster are pretty much synonymous, aren't they? So very valid question still. Akash, quite simply, if you want the bulk of an SUV, you want that big size and presence, Terrano it has to be. But if you want the convenience of a hatch, yet the little boost of height that comes from an SUV, and of course that shape, and the convenience overall on an EcoSport in city traffic is far better. Remember, the EcoSport also offers you the automatic option on the petrol and that 1-litre EcoBoost engine, which is again terrific. So overall, I would say the EcoSport just has a lot more going for it. It is also better value for money. Anirudh Singh wants to know if the Honda Mobilio is worth waiting for. Is that a better buy, or the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga? Anirudh, we haven't driven the Mobilio yet, so it's not fair for me to really draw comparisons. Having said that, there are certain attributes on the Mobilio which seem pretty apparent from having seen the car standing still. It is a little bit more premium. Honda's tag overall and the brand is a lot more premium than Maruti as well. And the interiors aren't terrific, but compared to the Ertiga, and the car looks nicer from the inside too. In terms of leg space, there's just a tad more leg space on the Mobilio as well. So it may be worth waiting to see just how Honda prices it before you make your decision. However, if you can't wait for a few weeks, it is still about the middle of the year when we'll see the Mobilio driving into the market. Well, then the Ertiga is still a good buy. It's an efficient car and still works. So it's your choice. You want to wait, maybe spend a little bit extra, then the Mobilio is worth waiting for. Rohit Bose wants to know if it makes more sense to buy the Sonata or indeed the new Octavia from Skoda. Now, it's an interesting question because the Skoda Octavia technically is one segment lower, but that's the kind of attribute that that car offers. It's a lot more premium than its predecessor. It is very high on technology, very well built, and drives really well too. Now, if that is what you're looking for, Rohit, that's the car to go with. However, if you want a car that's comfortable and a chauffeur-driven option, then the Sonata really pampers you in the back seat. You've got ventilated seats, you've got a whole lot of gadgetry on board, and it's a very good-looking car as well. So you want to pull up in style, get out of the back, the Sonata, it has to be. But if you want something sporty and fun to drive and are looking for a little bit of a technology edge, it's got to be the Octavia. Pretty much a wrap here on the program, folks. If you have any questions, you want to know which car you should buy, well, go ahead and use that hashtag if you're on Twitter with me at Sid Partnkar. If you are going to use our second screen on the NDTV app on your smartphone or your tablet, remember, you can also upload video questions. We will like to take them on the program. So go ahead and ask me that question. I'll be very happy to answer it. Please wear your seatbelts. I'll see you next week. And remember, Auto Prime, right through the week at 8:30 p.m. will bring you something exciting every weeknight. Stay tuned for that as well.